Welcome back, folks. This is Tommy, Help with Gadgets, and we're going to do a disassembly and cleaning of the Vosteed Psyop. I just got that in earlier today, and I want to pull it apart, take a look at the internals of this knife. The pivot is a T8, so I'm going to carefully remove that pivot screw. And just as a reminder, I think I've actually got this this particular driver linked down below in the description, or if not, I will soon have it down there. And it kind of helps if you've got a screw that has decided that it's going to be difficult in removing, and gives you a little bit better leverage. This does fine for normal disassembly, and that's linked down below as well. I've got two body screws here. Those are T8s as well. I'm going to go and break those loose and remove those. Conveniently dropping them as I do so. Alright. And it just felt like when I loosened that one that I shouldn't have any problem getting this knife to come apart. So, and I didn't. That popped off fairly readily. There is a plate here that I'm going to see if I can't just delicately remove from the knife, and it looks like it's just press fit on, not press fit, but fit on there fairly well. It's loose on that side. I don't believe it's screwed in on that side. It just appears to be there. It's loose. It's just, I have to get my handy dandy little pry tool and gently. It's coming loose. There it goes. Alright. So that piece fits on like such, and it comes off separately. Alright. This is a little bit different assembly than I've seen before. Okay, and you can actually see how this works. This lock bar here rides on the side of the knife just much like it would for a regular liner lock, and then just that drops into place there, holding it very securely. So that's pretty cool. Alright, good deal. This will also allow me, I think, to just pull this off. And let me go ahead and drop that into there's some sort of grease on here from the factory. We'll go ahead and grab a alcohol pad rather, and get that off of the scales as well as the blade here. Clean things up a bit, and then I'll put my preferred oil of choice, which right now is Gunny Glide, back on it before I reassemble. I'm going to try to get that grease out of those bearing races, off of all the internal parts. You can see here's some spaces that have been cut out or milled out for weight reduction. Alright, I'm going to slide that pivot out, go ahead and put it in there. And I got a stop pin that fell out as well. And got some grease there. Alright, I want to look at this assembly a little more. Clean that up. You can see right there on the inside here is where that pivot ball is. I think it shows a little bit better right there. So this is just a liner that rides on that outside of that blade. It looks like well, I will go ahead and take this loose just to, maybe I will take it loose. That's spinning, and I don't see any reason to absolutely take that completely apart. I can easily get an alcohol pad underneath and clean anything that I need to. So without grabbing my Nipix pliers and holding this, I don't see a way of taking that easily loose. And again, I don't really need to. I can wipe it down without doing so. So let's go ahead and just clean this up and get it back together. Maybe in a future video I will, and you can see some of the Loctite here. We'll try to get that out of the way. In a future video I'll take it completely down, but again, I don't see any reason for necessarily doing so right now. I don't want to completely mess it up on the first day. And not saying I would by taking it apart, but you always run the risk of things not going as planned, especially if you're trying to film. I don't know if I need to pop those out or not either, so I'm going to try to just clean those. I think I left the other one in. No, it's on the pivot. Okay. Alright, let's get some more of the pad and start cleaning the bearings and the pivot screw and pivot. Get those wiped down. We managed to get us a little bit of Loctite on the bearing itself. Alright, I'm going to take and pinch my fingernail into the threads there on that pivot screw and try to run those back and forth a couple of times to get any Loctite that I might be able to get loose. We'll take a look at it. A little bit residue left, but a lot cleaner. Alright, let's get this other bearing out. Turn that pad over. Well, let's just get a new one. Sometimes it's better just to go ahead and get a new alcohol pad and not risk getting any junk in there. And I'm going to wipe off the pivot and that color. The color gives it just a little pop of color there. I'll let that dry for a moment. Check everything else and make sure I've got it. Looking at that. Again, I'm going to take one more swipe under here and wipe off the button a little bit, although the button's really not touching anything. It's all it's just there's a space there that in the scale that the button can pass through, but it doesn't even appear to be touching or rubbing the scale. So interesting. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and put the pivot in place. In this particular knife, you can see there's a D shape cut out on this side up here. So we'll line our D-shaped pivot up with that. And there you go. Put that on there. Put our bearing on. Just a little bit of the gunny glide. I'll put a little dab on each side of the pivot. And the movement of the knife will, or the blade as I actuate it, will move all that around. By the way, this is L max for the blade steel. All right, so putting it back in there, I'm just going to line it up with that lock bar there, and I'm actually going to put a dab of oil right here where that pivot ball will run through it, or maybe won't run through it, and spread that out just a little bit. All right, let's see, let's go ahead and do this. Put this on. Now I need to make sure that I get that stop pin back in place. I do not need to get the knife back together and determine that I've left that out. Alright, I don't know that I did the clean this one out with the alcohol or the cotton swab, so I'm going to clean that out. And then again, this goes in place right here. This, of course, this is going to go right there with the bearing. Fits down over the stop pin there, and then also fits down over these. Actually, a really neat design. Okay. And oops, let's take that back off because I didn't put any oil on this side. Again, just a little bit there, a little bit there. Wipe that off. Okay. Now we're going to put this back on. And we're going to slide that on into place. And I'm going to put some Loctite stick on the threads of the pivot screw. And we're going to put it in place. Don't need to crank down on it just yet. Just get it ran up to where we can then tune it after we get all the other screws in place. Alright, and get this side. And again, I don't normally put any Loctite on the body screws. I usually don't have any issue with body screws backing their way out. Alright, let's see what we've got here. I want to check. I'm just going to check and make sure. That one was a little loose. That one was not. And what I'm doing is just making sure the body screws are tight. Let me try this one again. Alright, good to go. Alright. Got some play there, so let's go ahead and tighten it a bit more. I'm going to allow it to close. Flip it back open. I still got a little bit of play there. I'm going to just in small increments increase until I have no play. There's just a smidgen of play left in it. Again, just a very small amount. And I don't feel any play now. So there you have it. Take my handy dandy cloth here and wipe those smudges off that I put on there. Alright, and so there you have it. This is the Vosteed Psyop, and it's got grease on it now, oil on it now instead of the grease, and I think it's going to do just fine. Alright, so that's it for today. This is, again, the disassembly and cleaning of the Vosteed Psyop. I'll give a few days, maybe a week or so, maybe more, depends on what's going on, to review this knife, carry it, use it, put it through its paces, and hopefully have a review out to you soon. But that's all for now. Please hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment if you would so desire. I like seeing the comments, enjoy reading and learning from other folks such as yourself that have some insight into the knife world. And again, appreciate you leaving a comment. Hope you'll have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks, and hope to see you again soon.